Are there actually jobs that allow you to do more than work and sleep anymore? So in the past few years here in the US, I've noticed a trend in the workforce. If you have a job that can actually pay your bills, even if it is only 40 hours a week, I say only because lately most have been more like 50-60. You tend to feel like you can't do anything other than pass out after work. I've talked to a lot of people from all different industries, and it seems to feel the same to the majority. These jobs have you so anxious with unrealistic, or worse, undescribed expectations that you become so burnt out by the end of your day that you have no energy left for anything. When did this start? How do we get away from this? As human beings, we need our lives and time for passions back. It seems incredibly systemic to exhaust the population so much that we become robots with no fuel to drive change. That's how the riches squeeze more out of anyone else, raise prices, keep the pay minimum, and shove more works to each worker. And since they also have the government in their pockets, maybe it's time to normalize unions and make sure to stop electing rich people or their lapdogs to the office. Rich people jobs are all about having a lifestyle and the money to spend on it, too. Everyone else gets to pay for rich people to be richer. Healthcare. You get a lunch break where you grind your teeth because you're stressed. And you don't sleep because you're too stressed, so you've got all night to doom scroll. Sometimes I wish I could quit it all and go back to the old days where I worked in retail or hospitality. But with how those use less staff and somehow find ways to abuse you just as much, it's not even worth it. Society has changed in just a few years. Too tired to protest, it's by design. I have no college degree. Work full-time remote for the US Gov and make over $50K. I work 40 hours a week. No more. Close my computer after 8 hours and don't give a fuck about it until the next morning. It's hard to get into the Gov, but once you're in, it's a great job. I thought I had one. With an actual 9-to-5 schedule, moderate stress and a decent manager, but it took me 10 years in the industry to find something like this through my connections. It's rapidly deteriorating. Our team gets assigned more and more and gets KPI'd harder and harder while the team shrank in half. This is why you need to ban overtime in most cases. Maybe there are a few cases for someone who is a specialist, but it should be rare. Overtime has dropped regular working hours, real wages by a lot, and it's having a really bad effect on our society and economy. People have no choice but to put in nearly 2 full-time jobs worth of work to support their family. And even that isn't really enough nowadays. If everyone works 40 hours, then the economy has to mold itself to a 40-hour work week. I'm thinking the same right now. I'm a bus driver and I love my job. I'm good at it and the company I work for are pretty good. Except, last week I worked almost 70 hours in 6 days and I'm completely burned out this week. I had to call in sick yesterday and today and I couldn't face yet another 12.5-hour shift. Lately it's been finish work, eat, shower, bed, and the start again, and it's honestly breaking me. Mentally and physically. I've a job interview on Friday for an office-based position within the transport industry that I hope I get. I actually don't know if they exist anymore. As far as I know, the BLS doesn't track hours worked at the given wage, so I can't verify anything officially. Anecdotally, I've never gotten into any position, or have heard of one, that pays decently that didn't automatically expect you to be there for 50-60 hours a week. We are just the hamsters turning the wheel. They don't give a rat's ass about our lives outside of completing the work they want. For little pay. Just to pay bills, I work on average 20 hours OT. Who has time for a life outside of work or money to enjoy life? Hate to say it, But most unions are bought and paid for by the rich corporate elites and no longer push for livable wages. This post makes me think that I really regret my decision to not become a drug trafficker and/or warlord. Farmer here. Depends on the time of year. Right now it's harvest, so after I get the kids to school I'm usually in the field till 10 p.m. or later. Late summer and winter is when we do a lot of travel and such since we don't have livestock. Rainy or snowy days. Might do some wrenching in the shop. Or might sit on the couch and play Halo. I am seriously debating quitting and being homeless. Living in a tent out in the woods. Life would be hard, but at least I'd have some peace. Loudly crying. Freelance consulting work is really the only thing there is. I work 3/12s. Paid for 36 hours, considered full-time, and have 4 days off. It sounds like a dream. It's not. At 10 hours your body and mind are done. 4 days off is actually too many if that seems like a thing. Those 4 days off should be working another job to survive easier, but I'll be damn working in USA. Full-time I should need another job. I solved this problem by factoring in commute time to determine what it is I make. When my job went completely remote, suddenly I had all the free time in the world despite working 40 hours. Yes, one with union. Anything tech. RN, PA, NPI most places. CEO, CTO, CFO, CIO, CMO, VPX. I am working as a fundraiser at a nonprofit. I do not feel this way. However, I will say I think my company is way above the average NFP. Even working from home and only working the occasional 50 hours work week, I'm still wanting to take a few hours nap after work even though I'm just sitting in a chair all day working in IT. But since I am comfortably knowledgeable in several different technologies, I've become some weird hybrid role that can barely get my primary job tasks done because I'm being pulled in so many different directions. It's exhausting. This is why cocaine and meth are so popular. I am so grateful that I was in a union early in my career. As a seasoned professional, I had to lawyer up and I join a union. Yes. Get a degree in something techy. Become a software developer. Get a remote job in a small to mid-sized company whose main application is decades old and is basically on maintenance mode. Then nap on the clock and deliver something small once or twice a week because no one cares. A lot of tech jobs are easier than the schoolwork required to get them. Unfortunately, if you want to be treated well, you have to go into a field that is in high demand. They will coddle you to keep you. This is the norm, unfortunately. Bust your butt and exhaust yourself just to get by. Felt this morning. Was anxious before the shift even started. SMH. I now make a good income and work 36 hours week. To get here I have 2 undergrad degrees and a doctorate plus $200K of debt. It was a long road to get here. At least I don't hate my job anymore. I'd love to be able to do a job that I express myself creatively, like pursuing becoming a chocolatier baker or something wild like that, even if the pay isn't great. As long as I could survive, I'd be fine. Problem is, where I live I need minimum $20 hour just to pay required expenses. After taxes and minus expenses I'd be left with about $250 mo for food and no more training. Martial arts. No grabbing an occasional slice of pizza. Trying to leave my current job and everything is 16 to 18 an hour. I simply have to remain miserable if I don't want to become homeless. I love substitute teaching. Some days at work are better than others. But it's much easier to decouple my mind from work than my old FT teaching job. And the hours are usually very reasonable.